What is going on, everybody, and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the MoBetta Sports Show. I'm your host, Antonio, aka Mr.MoBetta. And today I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on the Texas versus Arkansas game after rewatching it for a second, third, fourth time, could be fifth time, sixth maybe, I don't know. I've watched it several times at this point. So I feel like now I have a very good understanding of what went on in the game, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I feel like I have a lot different take on the game now after rewatching it than I did in real time in my post game reaction. So y'all definitely want to stick around for that. So before we get into that though, I just want to give us a quick recap of the game itself. Texas obviously coming out of Fayetteville with a 20-10 victory over the Arkansas Razorbacks this past weekend. It was a huge victory. Despite maybe people don't want to make it as big of a victory as it really was. But at the end of the day, this is an old rival. Again, as the saying goes, Arkansas hates Texas more than they love themselves, which is a crazy saying to be proud of. But they are, right? They are proud to hate Texas, and nothing would make them happier than having a win over Texas, which they did not get. So we go to Arkansas in their home stadium, where the last time we visited them in 2021, we got blown out the water, 40 to 21, I believe was that final score. We get our revenge, 20-10 on Saturday. So let's kind of get down into the nitty gritty of the game, right? So I want to just go and address some of the top things that I've heard around, or some of the top complaints that I saw from the Texas fan base. Of course, the number one complaint being, and I will even say myself, I was openly critical last post game, was Quinn Ewers' play, right? The fact that he was only averaging 5.5 yards per pass attempt at the end of the game. He was 20 of 32 for something like 176 yards, 5.5 yards average pass attempt, and 2 touchdowns, right? Now, when you hear that number, it sounds terrible. When I read the number, it sounded terrible. But I remember even reading it that I didn't feel like the game was that bad, right? It was one of those games where even though the score was close, it was 20-10. It was 13-7 at one point. 13-10 at one point, actually. It never felt like the game was really that close. In my opinion, it always felt like our defense, the defense had the game under control. That's one thing that we have come to be able to expect from the defense all season long at this point, and they proved again on Saturday. We can rely on them to do their jobs and to prevent opponents from scoring every single week, right? The offense, for whatever reason, just couldn't really get going, and it put the defense on the field a lot, which makes the fact that they held this Arkansas team to 10 points even more impressive. Mind you, this is an Arkansas team who held Tennessee, one of the highest scoring teams in the country, to 14 points, beat them 19-14, right? Tennessee's defense, who everyone praises and talks about how elite the defense is, led up 19 points to that Arkansas team. Okay, so it's not like they are terrible. They are not able to close games out. And if it were any other logo on that helmet, teams would not talk about how terrible they are, right? They weren't a terrible team. They are a very, very solid team. They just weren't better, right? And I think that kind of the talent gap really showed itself. They had a couple of big plays offensively on Arkansas side, but we were really able to limit the explosiveness for the most part. The only long scoring drive they had in the game, or they had 2 long scoring drives, but only 1 long scoring touchdown drive. It was a nearly 5-minute drive, spanned like something like 14 plays, and they were able to punch it in, but that came after a 3-and-out from the offense, right? And that wasn't the first 3-and-out. The Texas offense had maybe 3 or 4 3-and-outs in that game. a couple of stalled drives, a couple of drives where we got close, had a penalty that put us out of, conversion distance, and then we had to settle for field goals. We had a couple of misreads from Quinn. One in particular, I knew there was one where we were in the red zone and he missed the pass to Ryan Wingo. I believe we actually ended up scoring on that drive anyway. I think we scored the very next play. However, on that play that he threw the ball to Ryan Wingo in the corner of the end zone and it got tipped and almost intercepted and then almost caught for a touchdown, he had Gunnar Helm wide open over the middle of the field. Arkansas killed us again with the 3 high look at defense. 3 high, 3 down. They didn't run a ton of that against other opponents all season long. But I think that one thing that has become abundantly clear as you watch Texas play over in Sark's system is that the 3 high safety look always gives Texas fits. And honestly, I'm not really sure why. It's a good, as we've come to find, it's a good counter to Sark's offense. But I also think that if you just make the right reads, it's not a good counter to the offense. I feel like we were running the ball really well. Every drive that we ran the ball, more often than not, early in the drive, I'm talking on first and second down, when we're picking up 5, 6, 7 yards on first and second down because we're running the ball well, it makes converting very easy. It makes opening the downfield plays very easy. And Quinn is the most effective intermediate passer in all of college football. He's the most effective intermediate passer. I felt like Steve was getting away from running the ball too early. Too many times we're taking shots downfield on second down, second and 7, second and 6, when I feel like we should be focusing on hitting those, popping those runs, and making it third and manageable. That opens up the downfield shots, right? The reason that Arkansas is playing the 3 high safety look against you is because they don't fear us in the run game, which, for better or for worse, I feel like we have an offense that is a running scheme that is effective against that look. Now, it's probably not effective running right up the middle, right? It's not effective running right up the middle, especially when you're having a pinch look by the D-line and all the linebackers are in tight as well. Everybody kind of honing in on the run. But the reason it works well against running, I guess against the way that we run the ball, is because those safeties are able to run down and fill gaps and fill lanes from a long distance, right? They close gaps really well. I felt like when Texas was able to get buck sweeps and motion sweeps and swing sweeps to the outside, that it was really, really effective against that 3 down lineman look. When our linemen can move and get up the field and get up to the second level, we were able to really move the ball well. I found that every time we needed a conversion, whether it was from 3 to 4 yards out, if we were running sweeps or if we were running, they're not buck sweeps, but, like these wide zones, these wide counters, we're picking up really, really good yards. And Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue are 2 very effective running backs. Trey Wisner is a dog when he runs the football, right? He runs with real ferocity, real intensity. He's got really good contact balance, as does Jaden Blue. I felt like we really needed to stick to the run game more. I feel like I can't emphasize this enough. Every drive where we are focusing on passing the ball early, the drive stalls, right? And for whatever reason, whether that's because Quinn is missing reads or because receivers are dropping balls, which there was a couple of drop passes in the game. Then they're blitzing on third and long situations because they know that you're going to have to pass the ball, right? It makes it easier to counter, especially when you have a defensive look that's already just naturally giving your offense fits. When you're put in predictable situations, it makes it that much easier to counter your offensive game plan, right? And so they were able to get a couple of sacks on Quinn. Not too many. We had 6 sacks defensively, which was phenomenal. That was another reason why we were able to, pull away in this game. It was because we were able to keep Arkansas's offense at bay because of sacks and tackles for losses. But on our side of the ball, I feel like we just got to be able to find a rhythm. And it's not necessarily all Quinn's fault. Some of it is the play calling. A lot of it is the play calling. Sometimes it's just how the ebb and flow of the game, right? Like there was a couple of plays where we're in second and short, third and short, and we're running the ball. We throw little swings routes, and instead of being tackled, we're breaking the tackle, or I should say, Quintravion Wisner is breaking the tackle, or Jaden Blue breaks the tackle, and they go backwards, right? So they end up losing a couple of yards after breaking the tackle. They're fighting for the first down, so you can't really fault them for that. That's just kind of the way football pans out. And so that leads to a couple of stalled drives. I don't feel like any time there was an open receiver or anytime there was a proper check down to take, I felt like Quinn made all the right reads in the game. And it's not necessarily his fault. We didn't get a pass interference call deep into the end zone or deep into the red zone on one drive. We settled for a field goal. Again, we had a couple of drops, a couple of misreads. Those things happen. I felt like for the most part, Quinn did an excellent job of commanding the offense and controlling the tempo of the game. Again, I don't really feel like the game ever got so close to where I was like, oh shit, like Arkansas is about to come and take over. I never felt like that. Most of that is a credit to the defense, again, because the defense played phenomenal. Jahdae Barron, incredible. Yet another, it's not even a breakout game at this point. It's just another dominating performance from Jahdae Barron in the secondary. Another dominating performance from Alfred Collins and from the D-line. Colin Simmons got himself 2 sacks again, right? Alfred Collins sack and forcing a huge fumble late in the game that would have brought Arkansas potentially within striking range at 20-10 and could have made it 20-17. But instead we get the ball back and we were able to run the clock out for the final almost 7 minutes. Sorry, it was 6 minutes and 55 seconds in the game. We ran the clock out for the final 7 minutes of the game. And even that drive, the final drive to close out the game, is a perfect example of what I mean by I feel like we need to be able to stick to the run and that Sark gets too pass happy. Because when it mattered, when it absolutely mattered, we ran the ball 6 straight plays to end the game. We ended up converting on a 4th and 2 with Quinn on a read option where he pulled it and tucked his shoulder down, tried to be a badass and got stood up, but luckily he got the first down. But I can understand it's an emotional game. He was hyped, right? And you love to see that. You love to see that kind of competitiveness. On the final drive of the game, 6 minutes and 55 seconds, we ran the ball 90% of that drive. So it's not like we can't be effective running the football. I just feel like Sark abandons the run game too early sometimes. And he gets too willing to take passes, to take shots downfield when we don't really need to, right? Just chip away and chip away and chip away. And I get that we have an explosive offense. But again, when you're playing a defense that is giving you the look that is anti-scheme for you, why try and force shots downfield? Just take what they give you. For the most part, I felt like we did that. Again, we came out with the win. We had over 130 yards rushing. We had over 170 yards passing. And we held Arkansas to under 250 yards total in the game. We did an excellent job of containing Taylon Green. By no means is Taylon Green a slouch. He is a very dynamic quarterback. He has got all of the attributes of a phenom at quarterback. He's 6'6", he's tall, he can get away from your defense. He's faster than you in the open field, which perfectly displayed when There was I believe it was like 3rd and 4 or something, a little bit later in the game, and Jelani McDonald comes down from his safety position, and Taylor Green takes the read option and outruns Jelani McDonald to the outside and picks up a first down. And Jelani McDonald looked like he's coming downfield fast, and Taylor Green just pulled away from him, right? So he's got deceptive speed. He's huge, 6'6", 230 pounds. He's got a very good arm. He's a very good mobile quarterback. He's by far the best quarterback that Texas has played this season outside of Carson Beck. And we played Carson Beck in a stretch where he was turning the ball over 3 times a game. Right? Minimum. The defense did force 2 turnovers in today's game. Speaking of in Saturday's game, speaking of turnovers, we had the fumble by Alfred Collins, interception by Jahdae Barron. Straps on defense. The defense is the one area where I am genuinely not concerned. Like I said, coming into the game, I thought the biggest area of concern with regards to the defense and how they matched up to the Arkansas offense was the fact that Arkansas loves to run the ball. They'll run the ball 35 to 40 times a game. And we saw that our defense was getting gashed by Florida. They picked up some big runs. Now, granted, it's later in the game. But the one inconsistency with Texas's defense all season has been their run fits, and they tend to give up some more explosive plays on the ground than they do through the air. That was not the case on Saturday. They shut everything down. Jaquindon Jackson didn't do shit. They had nobody over 100 yards rushing. Taylor Green didn't do anything on the ground. They contained it for the most part. Again, a couple of explosive plays on the ground. They had a couple of explosive plays from Andrew Armstrong through the air as well. But he didn't get incorporated into the game until late in the 3rd quarter. So overall, while it wasn't the prettiest game by any means, it wasn't the prettiest game, it was efficient, and we did what we needed to do to get the win. So you can't really be mad at that. Would you like to see more explosive plays? Duh. What college football fan does not want to see explosive plays? Would you like to see, drives not stall out in the red zone? Duh. The whole point is to put the ball in the end zone. But that's not going to happen every week. And again, keep in mind that this defense, outside of the anomaly game with Ole Miss, this defense does not tend to give up a ton of points. Ole Miss and LSU are really the 2 outliers on the season. They gave up 63 to Ole Miss. They gave up the 34 to LSU. At the end of the day, doesn't matter. It's an SEC road win, and we got the win. And now we are in sole possession of first place in the SEC. That's all that matters. And I think as a fan base, that's what we need to appreciate. We are now in our 2nd consecutive year where we are going to be in the mix. If we keep going the way we're going to be in the mix for another conference championship appearance, thusly a playoff appearance, right? We have got to learn to be happy, right? It's now we're already, I feel like there's a lot of us that are, I shouldn't say a lot of us. There's a lot of you that are expecting immediately that we need to win a championship, and that we got to blow everybody out, and that we got to win every game by a certain number of points and put up a certain number of yards, and it doesn't always happen that way. And I thought a great example of championship level teams not having great games from their quarterbacks, still having championship level teams. If y'all follow Nash Talks Texas, I believe he's Nash Talks Texas on YouTube or Nash on YouTube, something like that. He pointed out on Twitter, he pointed out a great stat that Colt McCoy in the 2008 season had a very similar game in which he was something like 24-34 and only averaged 5.5 yards per pass attempt, and Texas won the game. Nobody was raving about how Colt McCoy sucked. Quinn just gets so much unnecessary hate. And I'll say that I think I was frustrated. I was frustrated watching him on Saturday in the moment because I can see the routes that he's just passing up, right? And when I'm so hyper focused on that, when anybody's hyper focused on the wrong that he's doing, you're not really taking into account all the good that he does. But when you go back and you watch it from a clear mind, he really played a pretty damn good game. 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, almost 200 yards in the air. You can't really ask for more than that. You got the W. So I think that we should be happy with that. With that being said, I don't really have too much more to say about the Arkansas game. Again, we didn't put up the points that I thought we were going to put up, but at the end of the day, a W is a W is a W, especially in the SEC conference, where we're waiting on the new CFP rankings. They should be dropping here in about an hour. But as of right now, you have 5 of the top 10 teams in the CFP rankings are SEC teams. So for anybody saying that the SEC is a easy league to win in, you're just lying to yourselves at this point. You know what I'm saying? So again, I think we need to be happy with the fact that they got the W. And now that we got the W, we can look forward to taking on Kentucky, getting this game out of the way. Another good defense. Kentucky has got a good sleeper defense, right? Another one of those teams that they don't, on the record, they don't look like they're a good team. And on the field, they do some really stupid things, but they have guys with some really big play potential. And they're only a couple of plays out of many of these games, including game against Georgia, where they pushed Georgia down to the wire in the final few minutes of the game, right? Kentucky's another one of those teams where if you let them hang around too long, they can make it a game. However, just as with Arkansas last week, I think they are very similar in some ways. But I think that what we got out of the quarterback play from Arkansas is going to be better than what we're going to get out of Kentucky. They do have Brock Vandagriff as their quarterback. He is a transfer from Georgia. He's a backup to Stetson Bennett. Then lost the starting job to Carson Beck, and so transferred to Kentucky, where he is now the starter. He's okay. He can make some plays. He can make some plays. I'll give him that. We'll get into a real deep breakdown of Kentucky, what we're going to be looking for and expecting in that game. We'll probably do that. We'll have that coming out here in the next day or two. But for now, after rewatching this game again, I just want to make it clear, I thought Quinn had a solid game. Not the best, not the worst, but solid game. I thought we needed to stick to the running game more. Defense played lights the fuck out. Jahdae Barron, Alfred Collins, Colin Simmons, Trey Moore, all of those guys. Anthony Hill, man. Everybody on the back end. Our defense is just phenomenal. They are phenomenal. They are going to be the thing. If nothing else, we are going to be able to rely on the defense to carry their weight as we get further and further into the season. So I love to see that. But yeah, other than that, it is what it is, and now we move on to Kentucky. We be happy with the win. We go to Kentucky. We get that W, and then we got little brother to finish out the regular season on November 30th. That is the big one that I'll be looking forward to. I cannot wait to talk about little brother and how we are just going to dismantle this A&M team. Oh my goodness, every year. I love it. I love that every year A&M fans get their hopes up and they think championship, playoff, championship. And in the final few weeks, it all just goes to shit. And there they are again, Aggies being Aggies. It's going to be a very fun one to talk about. I can't wait for that one. But that is in 2 weeks. We must not get ahead of ourselves. Anyways, y'all, I'm going to let y'all out of here because that's all I got for you. Those are my thoughts. My thoughts are as clear as day. A win is a win. Defense is great. Offense still does need work, but offense is getting what needs to be done in order to win games. If you made it to this point in the video, please do me a favor and consider hitting that subscribe button. Or at the very least, do me a favor and just hit that like so we get the video spread to the YouTube algorithm. Get the video out there to the world. You know what I'm saying? And of course, turn on those notification bells so that you never miss anything we have coming for you. Make sure you leave some comments. Let me know how y'all felt about the game. If you've rewatched it, what you felt about the team after the rewatch. What do you agree and disagree with? I want to know y'all's thoughts. Let me know, man. Again, make sure you turn on the notification bell so you never miss anything we got for you. Because remember, no matter where you look, there's no better place than MoBetta Sports for your latest Texas football takes. I'm Antonio, a.k.a. Mr.MoBetta, and I am out. Peace and hook 'em.